Let's talk about 5 major takeaways from the recent set visits of Superman. Number 1. Pre-mortem. Previously titled Superman Legacy, James Gunn felt that maybe the title was looking back too much instead of looking forward. He did say that the movie is very much about Clark trying to reconcile his relationship with his Kryptonian heritage and his human upbringing. And that's really where the term legacy comes into play in the film. It's not so much about what impact and what Superman's legacy is to the world, hence dropping legacy from the title. Number 2, a whole lot of action. James Gunn has said that this movie actually begins in the middle of an action sequence, and if anything, I think it further demonstrates that we are really going to just be thrown into the middle of an established DC universe. This is not an origin story. And because camera drone technology has become so sophisticated in the last decade, I'm really hoping that we'll get to see some incredibly dynamic flying sequences with Superman and some of the other characters who have the ability to fly. The tone and influence. Right out the gate, James Gunn says that the movie will be hopeful and fun, but it also exists in a very serious environment. He says it's inspired by things like Game of Thrones, which are high fantasy, but also have their own in-world rules and reality. The comic books are actually the biggest influence of them all, especially things from the Silver Age. So it sounds like the DC universe and particularly Superman are going to lean heavily into science fiction and fantasy, but he did emphasize that all Superman media has played some influence, including the DC animated universe. The Superman suit and music. There's been a lot of conversations about the use of the John Williams theme. John Murphy has also created a ton of original music to surround it with. And this film will not be song driven, it will be score driven. And to my surprise, Gunn did say that they did a ton of costume tests where the suit didn't have trunks. But ultimately, he said that it was actually David Corenswet who swayed his decision on the trunks. If Superman is to exist in a world with children, then he should be a figure that they should also not be afraid of. And that's why they ultimately lean towards something that is bright, colorful, and embraces some of the origins of the Superman suit. And number 5, the pressure. Everything hinges on Superman. If Superman bombs and fails, there may not be a future for the DC universe. There's a lot more great stuff in some of these articles that talk about the relationship between Lois and Clark, and he talks a little bit more about the independence and interconnectivity of the DC universe in the future. Definitely read up on IO9's article and some of the other outlets that were able to go. There's a lot of really great stuff out there, but I'd love to know from you, what is one of the biggest takeaways that you got from the set visit from Superman?